This is Ed, and I'm with you today in Palm Desert, California, at Palm Valley Country Club is where I'm coming from. Uh, this is a picture I took in June, sunset after a rainstorm. You could see the clouds moving around. Interesting place. Our special guest today is on the other side of the world in Maryland, near the Chesapeake Bay area. Welcome, Ron Cooper.
Well, thank you, Ed. Always good to be with you, your viewers, listeners. And I want to talk a little bit today about a little further about generational integration. And I'll share a little bit of our presentation I have. And Ed, what I'm very interested in and learning from your listeners, and the like, are some of the characteristics of the person. Well, let's say some comments, and I've got a verbatim transcript of a comment the 26-year-old made, and I want for your listeners to be unabashedly aware. Marty, my wife of 57 years, is conversing along with me with the
Audio, can you hear me?
26-year-old. So I want to make certain that everybody knows the relationship with the 26-year-old is morally correct. So I think it's useful to say that. But
Okay, great.
um,
Ron, let me just interrupt for a second and say we had an outage here in the audio. And so you're going to be talking about cultural differentials and integration, and you're going to refer to a 26-year-old as a sample. Is that
yes,
correct?
yes,
Okay,
correct.
great. Thank you, Ron, for being here today.
No, that's good. So, Ed, in this presentation, your viewers who have heard from me in the past will see many of this, a continuity of what I've talked about in the past, core values versus peripheral topics. And I am all about harmony at home and in the workplace. And we can have that harmony as we know our core values and we stay with those core values, and we don't allow peripheral topics to get in the way of our relationship. And I'm all about having a harmonious relationship. And when I think it's worth noting, Ed, when I say harmonious relationship, of course, there are going to be times where we vehemently disagree, but we're going to disagree agreeably, and we're not going to go off in our separate corners and not speak with each other. So that's really what how I'm defining a harmonious relationship. And again, to carry over from some other topics, just for the sake of continuity of thought, I do encourage innovative thinking and in excellent leaders within the family, workplace, and so forth. I believe are innovative thinkers. They encourage failing forward, learning together. And one of the topics we have discussed in the past, and I will always emphasize, Ed, we pledge not to denigrate anyone, not each other, other people. We just will not denigrate other people, but we do want to develop others. Now, here's the quote that I mentioned in the beginning of our conversation, and I'm going to read it because it's somewhat small print. But this is a 26-year-old female, and this is the maybe second or third of the dialogue that we have had. The one of the dialogues we had got started with the topic was mentoring, and it does have to do with generational mentoring. In this context, you and I being baby boomers, are we possibly qualified to mentor a millennial? And so that's a little bit of the context. But what she said in one of our recent emails, when did I say anything about making other people pay for college? That's a topic that I mentioned that, and it's in the context of those in the previous administration indicating, yeah, we'll pay for your college. But so she went on to say, I don't believe in that either. However, you, meaning me, are unqualified to talk to my generation. In the generation of millennials, she is again 26-year-old. You have little to no clue on the advancement of AI, artificial intelligence, and its job of replacing humans in the workplace. You don't understand what it's like to be to be told to go to school, get a job when are basically no jobs because of the previous administration destroying the economy. Previous administration, in this case, is Joe Biden, and I'm not trying to be political. It's just explaining. It was your generation, your meaning me and the baby boomer generation, in which raised inflation by letting illegals into the country and printing cash that caused the devaluation of the dollar. And on top of that, you can't convert the value of money from almost 60 years ago and think we can afford to live as young adults in a world where your generation and Generation X screwed it up for the millennials and Generation Z. That's how out of touch you are, meaning me, and you think you're going to listen to and you think we're going to listen to any of you. Ed, that's the most recent dialogue I've had by way of email with this 26-year-old. And I sent her, the person with whom I'm communicating, an article another 26-year-old put together, which to me was diametrically opposite what she's espousing in this email message. But what she's clearly saying is because of our nearly 50-year difference in age, we are unqualified to speak with her about anything because we do not understand her current technology, the adverse impacts of current technology, and again, we have devaluated the dollar. We have destroyed the economy for her in her generation. I will say, Ed, that I have attempted to communicate with her, and there are things on which I do agree with her on some things, but yet to think that we have no wisdom, and I'm going to include you in this, Ed, because we're only 2 years apart in age. But to think that we do not have any wisdom to pass on to the millennials, Gen X, Gen Z, and so forth, I question that. But however, I will say that I believe reverse mentoring is definitely applicable. I tell people frequently I was invented long before social media, the internet, and so forth. So I am interested in learning what the current technology, what the current generation knows about technology and the like. And so I am an ascriber to what I call reverse mentoring. But for her to say that you and I think she's categorizing virtually anybody other than millennials, we don't have the wherewithal, the wisdom to be able to identify with and communicate well with them. And these are some profound differences, but I believe, and I have told her this, there are two things that I perceive from these type comments and in the conversation that I have had with her for maybe 3, 4, 5 months is that she seems to me, and I don't say this in a demeaning way to her, but she seems, based on this email message, is very typical of her attitude. She seems to have the victim attitude. That's one. And she also seems, my perception, my perspective, to have the entitlement attitude that I am entitled to better than what you boomers, have provided for me. Now, I'm the kind of person, Ed, I will help a person to work with anything in the economy. I do not believe I or anyone is ever a victim of whatever's happening in the economy. We virtually can't control that. We need to adapt to it. Ed, let me just stop here. As you are maybe hearing for the first time, reading this for the first time, do you have any impression at all of what it is she's saying? And granted, you don't know her, but you only know her from this one piece that she has written. But do you have any impression at all from what you're reading, what I've read?
Let me ask you a couple of questions. Yeah, I've been thinking about this. How did you, in what context did you meet her, or did she meet you? And did she, and why did she agree to have any conversation with you at all?
That's very fair question. We learned of her through, I believe it was a network referral group. Her name was brought up, and we hit it off fairly well. That she is a very energetic kind of person, and so we just started dialoguing, and then going back and forth. She proclaimed herself to be a LinkedIn expert, which I certainly am not. I'm willing to learn. So I paid her a nominal amount to do some work on my LinkedIn profile, which she did. And that has gone from there to going back and forth. And most recently, it was the conversation we had about mentoring, and it's generational mentoring. So that very briefly, Ed, is how we got to this point.
So, okay, thanks. No, a millennial, as I understand it, are people who are 26, 28, up to like 38, something like that. And then Gen X goes in after that, north. And Z, I've got a granddaughter who's 27 and a grandson who's 28 or 29, and another grandson who's 12. But
Okay.
give me an idea. Anyway, my granddaughter Julia, the beautiful woman and really super smart, and graduated with a degree in hospitality. And she's, guess what, working in an junior executive job in a very fancy hotel, front office. Uh, they gave her a big title, the manager of the people who work the front desk. And this is a 7-star property. Give you an
Okay.
idea of that. $1,000 a night start. So, and she's just having a great time. And she uses AI, but really she's a people person. So uh, she's using people skills because she's energetic and attractive and bright and people oriented. And and she's learned the technical skills about front office in that kind of an ultra resort. Very different from what you've just described.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, my grandson, who's her brother, older brother, is an engineer living in Denver, just got married a year ago. And so he's very much um, into tech, very sure. Engineer, he works in a big engineering company in a junior role, but he's put to work and he does engineering of pipelines, underground pipelines, to make sure they're in place and everything's working for builders and big office space developers. Very, very focused on that. And I don't think he has any problem or any angst that you have just described from this person.
In my experience is she she is I don't know if it's appropriate to say she suffers from anxiety. It seems that there are different times when she will be more anxious, more stressed than some other times. But I just have a perception that uh, I don't know that anxiety attacks are an appropriate term, but let's just say that I do believe there are various times that when she or others have not met her expectations, she can get very upset and very stressed through those situations. And I think she allows, my opinion, external factors to adversely affect her mindset and where she is. And so, and I read that into this very clearly. You have no clue on what AI is doing to us and so forth. And well, I do understand that, and I don't have the full application of AI, but I do understand that AI is replacing jobs and likely will continue to replace people. And so, but I'm a believer, Ed, that AI will never replace the human brain. We will always have a need for human brain. I do believe AI can speed up the repetitive tasks that we do, the assembly line type things. And so, but anyway, these are just some of the thoughts that come to mind. And I'm only curious. Would you characterize your grandchildren as those that will work through virtually anything that happens to them, or would you say their mindset is they are victimized by whatever's happening in the economy?
Uh, Zero, um, for these two kids, zero problem with what's going on in the economy because they're ensconced in something that they're currently protected in because they have expertise, and the organizations that hire these two kids are teaching them and giving them every encouragement possible that I could see. And so it's up to these two kids to grab onto this brass ring and run fast.
Right.
And I think they know that. Now,
Yep.
this sounds like from what you had read, there's like sounds like a declaration of war, quote unquote, intergenerational and maybe political. But and that's pretty scary. But it sounds like this young woman is uh, angry for sure, but not tuned into what opportunities there are.
Well,
And
see, and I'm agreeing right there with you, Ed, that you've heard me say before, and I will always say, we will almost always find what we're looking for. If you're looking for negative, you'll find it. If you're looking for positive, you'll find that. And so, if our mindset is focused on the positive, we will look for opportunities. Again, you and I are not going to have a direct impact on inflation. We have to live with whatever is happening in the more global sense, and we have to adjust and adapt to it. The AI is progressing, various other technologies are progressing. We need to learn to live with it, adapt to it, and so forth. And so, again, once we see opportunities, we take advantage of those opportunities and we move forward with that. But again, I think if our mindset is negative, we're certainly going to find things that are wrong with people, their situations, and so forth. And the tendency is to blame others, and that to me is the victimhood. And so I'm willing to try to work with her, but if it's a continuation of the negative, and I did respond to this email by saying, well, you're telling me I have no idea what is happening in the workforce today. Well, I didn't come back and say, well, you don't know what was happening 50 years ago. Obviously not. But to say that we have no idea how to adapt to the current world situations, to me, is flawed thinking. And you and I can talk about this, and I want to be very careful how I would address that kind of thing with her. I want to try to word everything in a positive manner, but those are just some of my off the cuff thoughts.
yeah, wow, this is really interesting. What came to mind immediately, and it's probably not related at all, is this young man in New York City who ran against Mario Cuomo in the mayor, Democratic mayor.
Yep, I know exactly
You
the
know,
person you're speaking about.
and
He's
and it and I mean, it turns out that this young man, even though he's has that kind of name and that kind of background, the article I read said that he lives in a $2 million townhouse in Manhattan, and
right.
yet he's talking all this and anti that. It just doesn't jive.
Yep, totally agree. And so he has a view of the world, very socialist, Marxist, and he wants to convert, at least there is a thought, he wants to convert virtually all, well, grocery stores and the like to government owned. And so it's just a very different way of thinking. And I'm very aware that some millennials, so those in schools, some of the schools are teaching a very liberal ideology, a very liberal form of government. Some are advocating socialism, Marxism, and so forth. And so I feel like we're having to work with those type people.
So so you think back to the days of the Peace Corps, and
Yeah.
it really wasn't all the do-gooders, but a lot of do-gooders got involved, of course. But it was I wasn't involved in it, but I know people who were, and they really just want to help people
Yes.
without politics was maybe there, but not out front like it is now, and such the campus riots and just really very hard times that
Yes, and
that
Ed, I know
it
that
bothers me.
you being in San Diego, just a few hours north of you, well, Los Angeles, the things that are happening there, and different people have different ideas about whether you call them undocumented or illegal immigrants, the impact they're having, and the like. There are a lot of different factors that are happening, but I'm a believer that. We do have statutes in place, and we need to be in compliance with those statutes. And so I know that I'm talking about some topics that not all of your listeners would agree with me.
Yeah, this show is really not political, but everything is political. And so the show is about global business and people who want to get involved and want to strengthen, not ruin relationships. And so more conversation and more of, uh, I don't know, common sense and willingness to listen and then to offer constructive ways of making changes that could be a stepping stone for others who don't know what to do and are fearful of the future.
Yes, and I heard an account. In fact, I listened to a person being interviewed just a couple days ago, the Los Angeles fires just north of you. That
Right.
person said it could take 3.5 years to rebuild the house, which would be a total of about 4 years from the time the fire started. And I thought, I heard the mayor of Los Angeles say that she was going to do everything she can to reduce to maybe 6 months or so. Now, I am not well enough versed to know what the procedures are, the policy, local policies for Los Angeles. But for people to think that it's going to take 4 years to rebuild, I have to think, Ed, that some of those people are wondering, or they're having to make a decision. Do they want to stay in an area where they're having to contend with those types of issues, or if they're able to build someplace else much quicker, um, they may have to make a lifestyle change. I'm very aware that some of these dynamics are happening in people's lives.
And then the mental and our guest on previous shows, Ken Lloyd, Dr. Ken Lloyd, he lives in that area just east of that area, but wasn't burnt out. And they have family friends who were burnt out. And he says that they are having mental issues.
Well, and I can very well understand that mental health is certainly involved. And but again, and I would never want to make have anyone think that I'm marginalizing what those people are going through. But I do believe, Ed, that there is opportunity in virtually every adversity we have, and it's a matter of a mindset that how will I work through whatever life encounter I'm enduring. And there's got to be something positive somehow, some way. And again, I know some people may think I'm very cavalier. I'm marginalizing what people are going through, that people's homes have totally burned and they had to relocate. And I'm very sympathetic to that. But I would have to say that in spite of that, many people have gone through all types of adversities, and I think it does relate to the victim attitude that I read into this message. Those who say we were going to pick up, we will move on beyond where we are in spite of what we've encountered. Ed, those are the kind of people that I work with best, and I do know that some people need more help to be able to make it through and see opportunities that are beyond whatever adversity they're experiencing right now.
So what about the concept of thinking constructively and really without any prep for this at all, just thinking that in some communities, and I'm thinking of your contact, this 26-year-old, the community college system, well, here in Southern California anyway, it's very well developed.
Yes.
And it's run by people who are educators, but there's full of psychologists as well. And they've set up a system whereby a kid can go to a community college at practically no cost. It's not Harvard, but you get an education, especially if you're interested in the topic to go deeper, then you pursue it in the class or with the professor after class, rather than in a group discussion all the time. And the professors in the system encourages that kind of a thing in these community colleges about how kids who do well in this community college setup automatically can matriculate into the California state system, which is one of the best in the world. And therefore you get into, I wouldn't call it Ivy League, but it's pretty close to it and just as good for helping a lot of people learn new things and open new doors. And maybe this person who you talked to just as in this example isn't aware of that kind of service in Maryland or wherever that was.
No, I agree with you. And it just turns out, Ed, that albeit Marty and I live in Maryland, this 26-year-old is in Florida. And
Huh.
so we're communicating that way. But it is my experience that just as you are saying, yes, community colleges in any number of places can help you if you make the decision to be with the right people. And I do believe, Ed, it's a decision people have to make. That if your mindset is, in quite honestly, based on one other thing she wrote, which is not written, not captured here. I asked her if I could offer three observations to her, and she, yes, agreed that I would. And I told her, I said, your statement you made, and it was a Facebook post, indicated to me that she is a victim and that it's everyone else's fault. And so there is a carryover from that Facebook statement into this statement. But Ed, what I'm building up to is that I believe there's opportunity in everything, but you have to have the mindset to pursue and want to be around those people who can help you through whatever adversity you may be facing. If you're the kind of person who is looking to blame, you're looking to find fault with, you'll find it. And I guarantee you, you will find it. And and it may be more difficult for you to recover and find what good there is. But I'm a believer, Ed, there's opportunity in everything. Again, I know I just don't want to overstate it, but irrespective of whatever adversity you have faced or are facing, I do believe there are opportunities. It's a matter of making that decision. And I believe in some cases, it's a matter of surrounding yourself with people who have a positive attitude, who can help you discover what the positive is, what the opportunities are that are available to a person, and link that person with their strengths and the opportunities that exist. That's a lot of who I'm about.
Well, she has to realize, hopefully soon, what a good person you are.
Well,
What a good
and
resource you are for her.
I appreciate your saying that, and it's not my intent to promote myself,
Uh-huh.
but I do read into this what she has written here, her attitude, and that maybe is a momentary part in her life of a current mental attitude. But I have seen this in some other times, and so again, whether it's a form of anxiety for her or just what, I don't know. But I've told her I'm willing to work with her and coach her, and she has not accepted that offer yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, geez, interesting. This is a fascinating conversation. Thanks for bringing this on Global TV.
No, Ed, I appreciate it, and there may be others that are somewhat like this. But again, what are some of the takeaways that we can garner from this? That I do believe it's a matter of core values, what our mindset is, and how can we work very effectively with others in keeping, again, the main thing, which seems in some cases to be a trite topic, but yet when we focus, when the main thing is positive and there are opportunities that exist, we may just have to dig a little bit harder to find them. I do believe that is something that some people need. And for those listeners, your viewers, who may have some opinions and anything that possibly is even counter to what I'm saying, I welcome diversity of opinions, perspectives. I learn from other people. My contact information is right here, and I sincerely welcome diversity of opinion. And I am not the kind of person who is going to be argumentative or combative with anyone, but I am very interested in various people's perspectives and why they think the way they do. Ed, I welcome anyone who would have any opinion, and it does not have to align with my opinion or perspective. I'm just very interested in learning from others.
Thank you, Ron Cooper.
Thank you, Ed. It's always good to be with you.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Ciao. Thank you.